You have asked, are we happy? Are we happy and effective? Consultation with leading experts in the field makes it perfectly clear, that we are all now programmed for perfect happiness, perfect happiness, perfect happiness, perfect happiness.
All right there. Oh, so slowly but painfully and certainly surely the holiday comes to an end. Couple of days left, and predictably the money comes to an end as well, and having to move home when I get back to London literally in 3 days. I need to empty my house, I need to get a professional cleaner in so that I can get my deposit back. Things were looking a little bit tricky. I have drained all of my available financial swamps. And then it gets to the 1st of February and bang, my Patreon money goes through. The accumulation of super chats goes through. The maker support goes through. The individual PayPal payments go through. I've got some money to enjoy my last couple of days. I can pay for a cleaner. I can pay to hire a van to empty my house. I just wanted to say an absolutely massive and sincere thank you to the people who have financially supported this channel, and give you an explanation there, the very real way in which that positively and amazingly affects my life. So thank you, it's incredible. Anyway, there was a couple of strange incidents here last night, which the details of which I'll share with you another time. But they led me to remember a story, so I thought, why not on this beautiful Sunday in Thailand share with you an incredible story of love, of loss, of life and death, of glamour, of obsession and attraction. Maybe none of that. Maybe all of it. Our story is wonderful. Okay. I was living in a little bedsit in Knight's Manor. Knight's Manor was a hideous little estate, a supplement to a bigger, even more long, huge, dirty and failed estate called Temple Hill. Temple Hill was the first prefabricated estate to go up in England after the Second World War. Some of the houses in Temple Hill, the ones that aren't those horrific, dirty and piss-stained mid-rises, a half concrete, half corrugated steel. I'm not joking with you. The bottom half, slabs of concrete, tongue and groove with the next slab, and then the second half, corrugated steel. The kids who lived in them when we were at school were ridiculed for it. We took the piss out of them. We laughed at them. They're horrible little tin houses. And now, of course, they're almost chic. They're trendy. They're desired. What a turnout. So Knight's Manor, like I say, a supplement to failure, stuck on. I mean, if something's not going well, if it's failing, if it's culturally and socially deficient, add to it, create more of it. This seems to be the way of Great Britain over the last 30 years. And I lived there in this dingy little, equally piss-ridden, dirty and equally socially and culturally deficient little studio flat. Far too grand for what it was. The bed was in a cupboard. Seriously, you'd open the cupboard, grab hold of it, and if I could get together the strength to pull it down against the relentless springs that would say, "No, you will not sleep," I'd sleep on that. And of course, after the second week, I got bored of putting it up and down, having to admit to myself every night and morning that I lived in what was essentially a horizontal cupboard. I left it out, which meant the doors staying open, which filled the room. I lived in a splayed wardrobe. It had opened and puked out my bed with its tatty cotton sheets with all manner of body fluids and lagers and all God knows what, providing like a map of my unpleasant life. I was disappearing. I was waking up and having a can of Super Tenants, 11% washed down handful of Valium. That would take the edge off the heroin withdrawal, which was without a doubt kicking in, but I couldn't stand up. I couldn't move without being sick. I'd have to do that. Then I could go out and find some money, maybe steal some vodka from the supermarket. Maybe put the £1.50 I managed to find on the streets on a dog in the betting shop and win £12, enough to buy a bag, etc., etc. Go and borrow it, steal it, rob it, blag it, whatever, get it, go and get some gear, get home, have it. It be underwhelming, it not do what it promised, it starting that whole chain again, find some money, go and score again, until at the end of the day, barely able to see further than my nose, barely able to want to crawl back into my cupboard, shut my eyes for 20 minutes before waking up and doing the whole thing again. It was unpleasant, and yet the internet had appeared. I think it was still dial-up, but I was amazed by it. I'll always remember the first person I ever spoke to on the internet in a chat room. Remember the old chat rooms, totally anonymous? There I was. He was a steel worker in Illinois. It was incredible. I remember I was emotionally weak. It was a Sunday. I think I'd been doing a lot of speed over the weekend. I was drained. It was one of those things when, anything can make you cry. Everything was full of far too much emotions. And the idea of this steel worker with his honest life, he got up, he drove his truck, he moved steel, he ate his sandwiches, he moved steel, he got in his truck, he drove home like his father and like his father before him. He was thinking of getting married to his childhood sweetheart. It was very wholesome. It shone a dark, absent light onto my life. One of those lights that actually removes illumination. And I remember thinking, there's no glamour in my life. There's no magic in my life. There's nothing special. There's nothing beautiful in my life. Wouldn't it be amazing to have a beauty in my life? A beautiful woman, really beautiful woman, a glamorous woman, a glamour model. Someone who smiled, someone who had pom-poms, someone who giggled when she put on lipstick, someone who, when walked into a room, turned the volume of the place up to 35, when the dial would only usually hit 20. A magical lady, that's what I wanted. I wanted someone like that. I wanted someone whose teeth reflected light. And I found one. I looked around. I found one. I spent time looking. In those days, it would take time to download a JPEG. You could set about 30 off, go and make a cup of tea, go out, go to the shops, buy a yogurt, come home, spill your yogurt, eat what was left, turn the computer on. 7 of the 30 you'd set off had come down. There you go. This one's nice. I'll call her Kelly. This is a real woman, and I don't want to give her details away. I have changed the names to protect the guilty. Beautiful Kelly. Successful glamour model, a bunny. She was in one of the Fast and Furious films, and she'd won Bikini Model of the Year or something similar. It was all amazing to me, and I thought, I'll make contact with her. I'm going to write to her. I'm going to give her a proposition. What could I do? This was the internet. I was anonymous. I could be an antique dealer from Surrey. I could be a knight. I could be Sir Christopher Dangerfield. I could be anything I wanted to be. A geologist who just finished his postgrad at Oxford University. Hello, Kelly. I wanted to talk to you about perhaps one day meeting up. I've got some jobs out there where I'll be digging up rocks and analysing them for NASA. Anything, but no. What did I do? What did I think? I thought, I've got a hand. It's not 4 aces. There's a couple of deuces, a 4 and a trois. I'll go in as I am. I'll come as I am, as Cobain told me repeatedly throughout the 90s. So I did. This was the plan. I'd write to her. I found her email. I got very good at stalking very early in the internet. Sharpened my weapons early. Found her email, wrote to her. Dear Kelly, I'm a drug addict. I live in a cupboard. It's a sprung bed. I have nightmares it's going to eat me up during the night. I've got nothing going on. Life's not good. I wanted some beauty in my life. I found you on the internet. You seem beautiful. I thought it'd be interesting if I were to write to you that you wrote back. No obligation. I don't want anything from you, but we could communicate. We could get to know each other. What an interesting document that communication would make. We could publish it. We could make a book out of how 2 complete strangers got to know each other. Like a Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. That was my angle. Sent her that email, forgot about it, sort of fell over. It was around that time I tattooed Div. on my arm with a 1mm. Woke up in the morning in my armchair in front of the computer, claret all down my arm. I've gone to the bathroom, washed it off. That didn't come off. Oh dear, oh div. For the not so English, div means idiot. Particularly stupid one. The sort of one that would tattoo it on their arm, perhaps. Out of nowhere, well, out of the internet, she responded, "Oh my gosh, this beauty. I was over the moon." She wrote back, "Hiya." Hiya. Yeah, 2, 3, 4. What is Chrissy waiting for? Amazing. And so began a communication. So began a relationship. She loved the idea. She'd write to me 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. I'd respond 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bang, 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 bang. It got to the point where I was looking forward to that and nothing else. An obsession, you could say. All day long, I'd be doing what I'd done or not doing what I'd done. Thinking about when the time zones collide, I can write to her and get a response almost immediately. Bing! Then I learned about MSN Instant Messenger. Kelly, you there, darling? Bing, amazing times. An incredible woman. Started sending me poems, poetry. Not quite love, but not quite not. Testing the water, getting closer. And we were both impressed. This was going to make a great novel. This was interesting stuff. If not a novel, a book, a document of some sort, a story. I'm going to read you a couple of our letters. I ended up going to rehab during this time in Bury St Edmunds in a place called East Anglia in England. I'd started working on my business. I was in my mum's shed cutting keys, polishing things, cleaning things, getting things done, learning about the internet. All the time thinking about getting home and talking to Kelly all night. I went to rehab. They would have frowned upon this relationship. Oh, there's thought crimes in rehab centres, believe me. They wouldn't have it's basically attention seeking. Yeah, well, whatever it is, I'm enjoying it and I'm not going to let you cunts touch it. I carried on the sly. No access to the internet though, but I had an iPhone. Yeah. And then when I came out of rehab, it was amazing. She'd seen me get clean. She'd seen me put in that effort. She was impressed. I was impressed. It was impressive. Let me read you one of our communications, the backwards and forwards. Hello, Kelly. It's Sunday morning. Early. Too early, perhaps. Isn't it always too early on Sunday? I'm sitting in Starbucks drinking English tea served the American way by a French waitress. I feel terribly cosmopolitan. And yet the view of the provincial town square that stretches out in front of me with its clock tower horizon, quaint, almost museum-like buildings, and slow-moving folk wandering aimlessly in many seemingly unmotivated directions, all reminds me I'm well and truly in East Anglia. How do I end up in these places? I brought with me a pen, a notebook, and a wealth of memories I struggle to find familiar. And then, as is quite predictable during these beautifully lonely moments, my thoughts stray to an amorous object of marvellous proportions, that always already absent figure of yourself. What game am I playing here? What game are we playing here? What role have I cast myself in that might at some point involve us both actually physically? Because you live, breathe, and you play your own hand in this. How strange life is. I am perhaps lost in another myth of sentimentality, as my mother is visiting here today. It isn't something I struggle with, but it's a return of the one that taught me to wait, the one that taught me to fear a love that might not return, waiting, hoping, missing, etc. It was this person through which I learnt to love, learnt how to feel pain, learnt how to feel happiness, how to live. And she'll probably talk about the weather, her garden, and moan about whatever it is she forces me to choose for us to eat. Please excuse me. The particular charm of writing to and receiving mail from you sometime overwhelms me in the best possible way. Much love, Chris. Her reply. Dear Chris, sounds like a perfect Sunday morning. I love the early morning. The world is peaceful. Well, except for in LA, where they'll tell you it never sleeps. The city of angels? I'm not sure. You don't seem to fall into the common misconception that the British are suspicious of anything foreign. Your world appeals to me. Don't let it go. And I don't think we're playing games. Life is, yes, a stage, and people, yes, are its players. Life is strange, yes. But do me a favour, do us a favour, and stop thinking about it so intently. Whatever comes out of all these emails will show itself eventually. Whether we never get to meet, but our friendship blossoms through words, our relationship blossoms, or an actual meeting where we lay on a blanket under the stars and learn more and more about our very different worlds. I prefer the idea of the latter. How did the visit with your mother go? I wouldn't know the teachings of a mother. I only had my father growing up. So I think my take on the world is slightly more masculine than some of the bunnies I come across in my daily life. But I wouldn't have it any other way. These were nice times for me. These were nice emails. I mean, I'd just come out of rehab. I was delicate. I was emotional. I would have fallen in love with a box of chocolates. And I had this glamour model opening herself up to me, listening to me, responding to me, engaging with me. And I didn't know why. And I didn't need to know why, because it was happening. Marvellous times. Went on and on. I was becoming a strange kind of emotional hermit. I had two lives. I had my normal life, the life where I was building slowly up my business, slowly building my life back together after decades of drug abuse, neglect, self-harm, self-loathing, all that shit. And then there was this sort of nocturnal life after midnight, online, with Kelly, the glamour model, who suggested more than one time that she was, as I was, falling in love with an idea, her, me, us, it. And then one day I sent her a message and I waited and I waited and I waited, nothing. Hours. This wasn't right. MSN, no going. Couple of days, few more days, a week, 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't want to write to her. Where are you? I thought, what's going on? Didn't want to be that person. That wasn't how this worked. There was no hassle. But I did wonder and wonder and wonder. And weeks became months and 2 or 3 months. I know exactly. It was 3 months. And then I got this email. Mr. Dangerfield. That's not hello, Chris. And this is from her email writing to me after 3 months. That's 3. Mr. Dangerfield. I have been instructed by Miss Boop, aka Kelly Beep, aka Beep Beep. So many names. To get in contact with you. I am her older brother. Beep. I do not see this as the most appropriate method of breaking news to her friends, but it appears to be the only way with certain people. Kelly is no longer with us. After many years of struggling, she took her life in the early hours of May the 23rd, 2007. My condolences, Mr. Devastated. Absolutely devastated. Hadn't been here before. Shocked as well. She'd given absolutely no sign. Absolutely no sign. No hints, no nothing. That she was suicidal, that she was struggling. Quite the opposite. This was a woman who had older life by the bollocks and was smashing this. She was playing Newton's cradle with the many balls of existence. And so, with that sense of loss, that sense of pain, why didn't she tell me? Why didn't she come to me? Along with that was our relationship wasn't real. I didn't know her. I hadn't got to know her like I thought. It was an act to show a character something. Because if I'd have felt suicidal, I'd have told her. I felt we'd dug deep. I felt we'd had a bond. So much going on. My first digital romance, my first digital loss. I never met the girl, never met in the traditional sense, presence, absence, etc. Actual physical presence, no. But language, and does not actual physical presence exist by the same rules of language as writing? Are we becoming post-structural in love here? But yeah, no doubt there was a connection. But was there? Didn't sound like it. She killed herself. I was so sad. I was mourning. I went to a church. I'm not religious. It's funny you say that. I went to a church. I'm not religious. I lit a candle. I needed to do something symbolic just to acknowledge the situation, just to acknowledge that I was hurting, that something had happened, that I found some kind of bond with a human and it had been taken from me. And then there's her struggle, her suffering. Why the fuck didn't she tell me, etc. It was very confusing time. It was, a lot to deal with, metaphysical and very mundane realities of life to comprehend. And then I didn't trust it. That's one of the stages, is it? Mourning, anger, something, denial. Didn't trust it. I knew this fucking girl. The last 6 months weren't bullshit. I knew her. She wouldn't do this. She wouldn't kill herself. She didn't do this, etc., etc. I started looking online, typing in all her many AKAs, also known as this, also known as that. Suicide, killed herself, model, bikini model, this, that, no, nothing. And I thought, hang on a minute. Sexy young woman, 23 she was, 23, 24. 23-year-old glamour model kills herself. Been in Hollywood films. Been in very, very well-known glamour magazines. Killed herself. Not a whiff of it online. And like I say, I sharpened my abilities to stalk the internet very early, being one of those men who in my 20s and 30s was terribly obsessed with the girls of my past. Spent hours, days, nights, amphetamine-fueled, stalking fucking missions stretching over weeks. I knew how to use the internet. I knew how to find shit out. There was nothing there. There was no footprint of this beautiful woman who killed herself. And I know how the media works. An excuse to put these pictures of this curvy blonde everywhere alongside strong words like death, suicide, and whatever story led up to that, this would have been reported. It wasn't. I was grasping at straws, looking for life. I was looking for it not to be true. I went and found a load of photographs of her online. I didn't have an archive. I didn't want to be that man. Oh, I've got 55,000 photos of you, Kelly. And by the side of a lot of them, you'll have copyright and the photographic agency or the name of the photographer. And I wrote to her 3 or 4. Hello, I was a friend of Kelly. And I heard she'd recently killed herself. Do you know any more details? I don't really want to hassle the family at this time, but we were friends and I don't know anything. And they got back to me. Some of them got back to me. I haven't heard anything about this. She's not a friend of mine, but we've worked together for years. I'm sure I'd have heard about this. It's fucking weird, man. And slowly I let it go. You have to. Acceptance. It was very hard to actually mourn without accepting it. It's very hard to mourn a person who's alive. And then about 2-3 months later, I was there one night on the computer. God knows what I was doing. Ping, hello, MSN, her account. Kelly, question mark? Oh, yes. Oh, I go mad. I go absolutely mad. Turns out there wasn't so much denial because I acted like a man who'd just seen a ghost. I was running around my room, absolute insanity. Ah! What had happened? What the fuck had happened? Why? But is this real? Is that real? What was real? Was that where there was a relationship? Was the suicide real? Is this real? How do I know this is a blah, blah, blah? It was her. She confirmed it. She knew things only she'd know about me and I her. And it was her. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not dead. Ex-boyfriend hacked her email account, went through every email, found every man that she'd in any way communicated with positively and sent them the she's dead email. She wasn't. And then she'd gone through the process of moving home, getting the police involved, restraining orders, all this kind of stuff, hence the absence. She didn't know that he'd sent those emails either. She'd just gone AWOL. She had things to sort out. When she found out, that was the first thing she wrote to me. She'd also got a boyfriend, so this was inappropriate. I get that. And I wasn't too bothered. We kept in contact for a few years, on and off. The magic had gone, though, but she wasn't dead. And that was nice. I send the odd email to her now. I get the odd reply. We haven't spoken in a couple of years. I'll probably send her a link to this video. I hope she likes it. It meant a lot to me, Kelly. In a time when I needed someone beautiful and honest and sincere, you were there. Even when you died, and especially when you came back to life. Take care, people. Live your life. It's brilliant.